Right, welcome ladies and gents. Alec Baldwin suing, and I quote, to clear his name in the Rust shooting. Now, I've done loads of videos on this when it was all happening. It all felt quiet for a little while. It's been, a little over a year now. I think it's happened in like October or something along those lines last year. So it's a little over a year. And this is a very tragic incident. Alec Baldwin was on the set of a film called Rust, had a gun, a Colt 45, I think, and it was claimed that it was a cold gun. Went off in his hands, supposedly. The FBI's done a report, whereas allegedly it would never have gone off. It pulled the hammer back. There's a whole thing, right? It's a whole thing. And unfortunately it led to the death of the cinematographer, Helena Hutchins. And also the injury of the director, Joel Souza. So Alec Baldwin is now suing to clear his name, interestingly enough. Now, we'll sort of get into it because this is an interesting development, and a lot of people on face value, myself included, were like, what an idiot, this is ridiculous. It makes sense that he's actually doing this, but the sort of backlash he's getting for this is because he's been so tactless and without class in handling himself during this entire situation. So, he's done interviews where he was crying and sort of playing a pity game and things like this. That was very tactless. He was basically said, don't talk to anyone, and then he did, and it is literally a nightmare for his lawyers, I'm sure. He said he would fully cooperate with the sheriff's department, and then he went out of state and didn't give him the phone. It's been a nightmare. So we'll dive into this. Before we do, hit subscribe, all that good stuff. But saying he wants to clear his name, Alec Baldwin on Friday sued people involved in handling and supplying the loaded gun that he was using when it fired, killing cinematographer Helena Hutchins during a 2021 filming accident in New Mexico. So Baldwin filed a cross-complaint in Superior Court in Los Angeles alleging negligence against some of the people sued by a script supervisor, Mamie Mitchell. Among other things, it seeks a share of any damages that Mitchell may win from the people Baldwin names and asks that they pay for any damages assessed against them, basically. Now, this does make sense from a handling perspective, because within a shoot, and by the way, this is not me shifting blame from anyone, but within a shoot, and this has always been the case, is that there's a chain, the chain of custody of these items, and there are safety supervisors. You have gun safety, and then you have, like film safety. They're two different things, but they are obviously intertwined. It's important to remember that. Now, he's suing the armourer, and not only that, I would imagine the first assistant director, because that's the chain of custody. So one shouted cold gun after the other was handed said cold gun, or presumed to be a cold gun. So it does make sense that he would sue them to clear his name. Now, it doesn't mean anything's actually going to happen about this, and there's been still no criminal charges, which is interesting. So Mitchell was standing behind Hutchins, who died shortly after being wounded during setup for a scene in the Western movie Rust at a film set ranch on the outskirts of Santa Fe on October 21st, 2021. So yeah, a little over a year. Mitchell sued Baldwin, so he's sort of counter-suing, I guess, or cross-suing, who was a producer on the film, the production company, and many others involved for assault and negligence. So in his cross-complaint, Baldwin says that while working on camera angles with Hutchins during rehearsal for a scene, he pointed the gun in her direction and pulled back and released the hammer of the gun, which discharged. That has been debunked by an FBI report. Now, I know a lot of people will be like, why you believe in the FBI? Like, I get that, but Baldwin and the FBI are perfectly aligned on an ideological basis. There'd be no reason for the FBI to, fudge a report. There just isn't. When we talk about these kind of things, in believability and controversies and conspiracies, there's no reason that the FBI would do this. Literally no reason at all. They are ideologically aligned. So the shot fatally wounded Hutchins and wounded director Joel Souza in the shoulder. So the actor said neither he nor Hutchins knew the weapon contained a live round. I I do believe that. I don't think he actually tried to kill someone. His tragedy occurred on a movie set, not a gun range, not a battlefield, not a location where even a remote possibility should exist that a gun would contain live ammunition, the lawsuit said. I think the issue is with this, that a lot of people have, is that there was previous... part of the crew actually walked out of this movie citing safety concerns. And they had cited safety concerns to do with guns and live rounds and people just playing with the guns after hours, you know, shooting them. So it's difficult to take this statement, all of this statement, with sincerity. So Baldwin has maintained he was told the gun was safe and that he did not pull the trigger, but a recent FBI forensic report found the weapon could not have fired unless the trigger was pulled. Now the lawsuit continues and he says, more than anyone else on that set, Baldwin has been wrongfully viewed as the perpetrator of this tragedy. By these cross claims, Baldwin seeks to clear his name. Baldwin's cross complaint says he has lost opportunities and been fired from jobs because of the shooting, and also has suffered physically and emotionally from the grief caused by these events. Not overly sure how he suffered physically. Bit of a stretch, mate. In terms of emotionally, yeah, I can understand that. In terms of losing jobs, I wouldn't say losing opportunities in jobs specifically from this incident. I would actually say this is him shifting accountability, because some of the jobs he'd be losing is because of how he's handled himself. You know, he hasn't handled himself in a very tactful and classy way. You know, the interviews and things like that. It's not good. It's not a good look. It's real bad PR. So in New Mexico's office of the medical investigator determined the shooting was an accident. However, prosecutors are reviewing the shooting to determine whether criminal charges should be filed. So in April, New Mexico's Occupational Health and Safety Bureau imposed a maximum fine of $137,000 against Rust Movie Productions and distributed a scathing narrative of safety failures, including testimony that production managers took limited or no action to address 2 misfires of blank ammunition on set prior to the fatal shooting. So there was misfires and people were playing with guns, apparently. So when you take that with this statement, you know, there should be no live ammunition, safety, we're on a movie set, it should be safe, but you didn't consider the safety. What? Come on now. Now the company is challenging that fine, so that's important to note, but I doubt that that's going to happen. Now Baldwin's lawsuit alleges negligence by armourer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, prop master Sarah Zachary, first assistant director and safety coordinator David Halls, who handed Baldwin the gun, ammunition supplier Seth Kenny, and his company PDQ Arm and Prop, which also supplied prop weapons for the production. Hannah Gutierrez-Reed is suing Seth Kenny for, like, conspiracy, I guess. Conspiracy to supply live ammunition, weirdly enough. Fucking who knows. Anyway, all have previously denied responsibility for the shooting. It's a roundabout. Now, a lawyer for Gutierrez-Reed, Jason Bowles, said he was reviewing Baldwin's suit. Attorneys for other defendants did not immediately respond to a request for comment. So it's kind of all over the place, in fairness, but this is the latest update. I can see why he's doing this. It makes sense that he's doing this. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the DA, though. That's the real interesting thing. These are just lawsuits. What the DA, who they consider to be culpable and things like that, that's when it gets interesting. So let me know your thoughts down below. Love to hear it. Take care.